Meeting the energy demands of our increasingly urbanized society while also cutting greenhouse gas emissions seems like an almost impossible task. It's a formidable challenge that sees the energy sector at the crossroads. This month on CommentVisions.com, we're discussing the role that society can play in delivering a clean energy future. And we're looking back in this programme at the last year in which we've discussed energy and the future with experts across Europe. One of the themes of 2011 has been innovation, and who better to discuss that than leading entrepreneur Sir Richard Branson.
A lot of us would like to see a carbon...
What are the game-changing clean energy technologies around at the moment? Has anything particularly caught your eye?
You know, first of all, there's just energy efficiency, which saves companies money, and I think companies are getting much better at that. In the airline industry, I mean, there's a couple of forms of clean energy that we're excited about. One is isobutanol, which is a fuel that is a derivative of sugar that can work for airlines, that doesn't freeze at 35,000, 40,000 feet, and a fuel that the Air Force in America are already beginning to use. So that has a lot of hope, I think.
As Sir Richard says, one of the ways to cut greenhouse gas emissions in the transport sector is through technology, but it's also about changing attitudes to mobility. It's a point underlined by one of the architects of Lisbon's new transport systems, Tiago Farias.
What's the biggest obstacle to overhauling transport networks here in Lisbon?
You need that people understand that there's a new way of looking at mobility. You should be able to try and test and understand the advantages of new solutions. I'm not only talking about electrical vehicles, I'm talking about the bus, the train, the metro. These solutions have increased their quality in the past decades tremendously, and people are not aware of it.
Most of us live in cities. In fact, more than half the world's population lives in urban areas. So how can we make cities more sustainable? To investigate that question, we spoke to researchers at London's South Bank University. What's your view for the next 10 years? What kind of changes do you think are going to be happening in terms of energy consumption, in terms of energy efficiency in the city environment like London?
I think we're going to see a lot more embedded generation, that's energy generation within the city as opposed to generating outside and on the grid and bringing it into the city. So that's combined heat and power, district heating networks, embedded renewable energy systems like photovoltaic, solar thermal, ground source heat pumps and the like.
The clean energy sector has been undergoing rapid change, but not without controversy. One example is biofuels, where there's been a lot of debate over the use of land and water resources. With second-generation biofuels made from non-food plants on the horizon, we sought the expert views of former Friends of the Earth director Tony Juniper.
In going renewable, obviously the sun is pretty much the main resource we've got, both in terms of harnessing it for direct electricity and heating use, in terms of how we might harness the wind, which obviously is generated by the sun, and also how we might use photosynthesis and the ability of plants to capture energy. And on that last point, in terms of photosynthesis, obviously that's the whole question of biofuels, and I don't really see any way in which we can do what needs to be done in terms of decarbonisation and the related challenges without some contribution from liquid biofuels as well as biomass being used to make electricity.
Of course, one of the fastest ways to cut greenhouse gas emissions is to use less energy in the first place. In Zurich, we visited Google, a company that makes large investments in renewable energy and energy efficiency, as their senior VP of operations, Urs Holzer, explained.
So, for example, we recently did a retrofit of an existing data center that we inherited, and we brought down the overhead in that data center from 140% to about 50%. And we spent $25,000 to do that, but the savings per year in energy is $65,000, right? So you don't need a justification to do that. It's really a no-brainer, and most people don't realize that these opportunities are out there.
So where will that leave us a few decades from now? What will the energy sector look like in the year 2050? German energy expert Claudia Kempfert gave us her predictions when we went to Hamburg.
Yeah, we think that the share of renewable energy would drastically increase by 80% in 40 years. This is feasible, technically feasible. Of course, we will see different energy options in different European countries, like solar energy in Southern Europe, wind and hydro in Northern Europe, and also we see some alternative fuels, like biofuels, which will be used and come out of renewable energy.
You can hear the views of other experts in the fields of energy and sustainable development at the CommentVisions events in Brussels, and of course on the CommentVisions.com website.